Sweet the whispers in your ear whenever ember wanders near.
Do you want to lose your faith in how our justice system operates a little bit more? Yeah. You're gonna see this. I think they're gonna talk about this on Side Scrollers tomorrow, because I actually fed this story to Blabs during Side Scrollers broadcast today. So you're gonna see this on Side Scrollers tomorrow, but I'm gonna preempt it because that's my strength. But something came out a couple days. Something came out. This was like from 2 days ago. From Reuters. New Mexico has created a bar exam alternative for lawyers. That's right, chat. In New Mexico, you no longer have to pass the bar exam in order to be a lawyer. Yeah. Let's go through this, shall we? It's from August 4th. New Mexico is the latest U.S. state to establish an alternative pathway for lawyer licensing that bypasses the traditional bar exam, joining 6 others with similar programs. That's right, chat. There are 6 other states that you don't have to pass the bar exam to be a lawyer. This is the 7th state in the nation that you do not need to pass the bar exam to be a lawyer. New Mexico is state number 7. New Mexico Supreme Court ironically, the New Mexico Supreme Court on Tuesday announced the creation of a new process for law school graduates to become licensed after completing 675 hours of legal work under the supervision of a qualified attorney or host organization. Law grads may still opt to take the bar exam, but court officials said the new pathway emphasizes real-world legal skills and could bolster the number of lawyers outside of urban areas. Question: why is not emphasizing real-world legal skills encouraged in law school in and of itself? Why, when lawyers go through law school, why not emphasize real-world legal skills as a part of law school in and of itself? That would make sense. You're going through law school, you're learning the law, and as part of law school, you need to do apprenticeships in order to get real-world skills. Kind of like, I don't know, like blue-collar work, like plumbers, like electricians, like carpenters, like doctors. Yeah. Why not? Why doesn't law school do that, I wonder? That would kind of make sense. Why is this now a substitution for the bar exam? Why is doing this real-world legal skills thing now a substitution for the bar exam? But we'll get there. We'll get there. This new option for admission to the practice of law also has the potential to increase the number of attorneys in New Mexico to address unmet legal needs, particularly in rural areas where it is difficult to find a lawyer, New Mexico Chief Justice Julie Vargas said in a statement. The court said that 2/3 of New Mexico's counties have fewer than 1 lawyer per every 1,000 residents, making them what the American Bar Association has dubbed legal deserts. Cool. So why are you now lowering the requirements? Why are we now lowering the requirements to create substandard lawyers? Okay, so because people are either not wanting to be lawyers or because they're not smart enough to pass the American bar, because they're not smart enough to pass the bar exam, we're now lowering the requirement to become a lawyer. Bearing in mind, we're talking lawyers here. These are the people that will be representing you in court as a defense attorney. These are the people that will be the prosecuting attorneys for the state or the county. These are the people that, potentially speaking, could be facilitating case law. That they could be, these are people that potentially could be facilitating groundbreaking case law. And they're making it easier for them to become lawyers by not having them do as much work, by not requiring them to become to pass the bar. Yeah, these are also people that can eventually become judges. So potentially speaking, now adding in New Mexico, we could have judges that never pass the bar exam, which is already a fucking problem in other states. There are other states already that you don't even have to be a fucking lawyer to be a judge. And now New Mexico, you don't have to pass the bar exam to be a lawyer. And if you become a lawyer, then you can become a judge. These are the people that New Mexico, as well as other states, are saying, sure, we're going to have you doing law. It's, okay, 675 hours is a lot. Sure. But you're relying upon 675 hours from an attorney and just going, okay, we hope this attorney is going to teach you right. Bearing in mind, this is where I was going with this. Bearing in mind, how many attorneys in recent memory have been busted for using AI to cite case law to make their arguments, and the AI has hallucinated case law that never existed. There is a shocking amount of lawyers who are using AI to do the jobs that lawyers are supposed to be doing. And who is to say that these lawyers that are basically jumping steps and using AI to facilitate case law for their arguments, and that AI is hallucinating case law that never exists, are the one who's to say that they're not the ones that are teaching these lawyers that are bypassing the bar exam by doing this real world experience? Do you see where the problem lies here? We are not in a high trust society anymore when it comes to credibility for quote unquote professionals. We are gone. That is no more. We cannot trust people that claim to be professionals. We can't. Because we have too many people that are taking shortcuts or are completely unqualified and should have never been in their position in the first place. And now they are going to, because we are living in a cucked out society, now these unqualified individuals will very likely be tapped for training these lawyers who are not smart enough to pass the bar, so they take the easier route and get their real world experience from lawyers who may not even, who perhaps shouldn't even be practicing law in the first place. That is the problem. And yes, I know my model just stopped. The phone's kicking back up. That is the problem that we have right now. Okay? And it's fucking scary. Yeah, well, yeah, I already said that they can be judges. These same people can be judges. I'm going to continue, but there's a point that I have to make here. Give me 1 second. Oregon jump-started the current licensure reform movement in 2023 when it adopted an apprenticeship pathway for law school graduates that does not require taking the bar. Washington followed with a similar approach in 2024. The same year, Arizona put a plan in motion that lets law grads who fail the bar exam obtain a license through a practical skills program. I'm going to repeat that. Arizona put a plan in motion that lets law school grads who failed the bar exam obtain a license through a practical skills program. They were not smart enough to pass the bar, so now they're basically short busing it to being able to a license to practice law. It's literally a short bus to practice law, to get licensed to practice law. South Dakota in 2025 adopted a pilot program that allows a limited number of graduates from in-state law schools to become licensed without the bar exam after working under supervision, provided they commit to public service careers. Utah last year also launched a supervised practice-based alternative licensure pathway. Nevada has implemented a new licensing system that combines shorter exams and supervised practice, much of which can be completed during law school. This part right here. Shorter exams. No Child Left Behind. This is the result of No Child Left Behind. We're seeing it now. We're seeing it in our grade schools. We're seeing it in our high schools. We're seeing it in our colleges. They are making the curriculums dumber in order to rubber stamp as many people through as possible. That's what this is. This is effectively speaking the adult version of No Child Left Behind. And what's the result of that? What do we see the results of that? Of shorter exams and supervised practice, or basically the grade school and high school equivalents. What are we seeing? We are seeing students in grade school and high school that are about 5 grades behind in their reading and comprehension levels. We're seeing high school students that can't even read at a 5th grade level.
No Child Left Behind should be repealed.
Yeah.
Cheer
Oh, it should.
100.
We're seeing juniors in high school that can barely do basic math, that can do barely do basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. That is now being transitioned into colleges and in particular law schools. And what's the result? We're getting people coming out of these schools that are dumber. They're going to shorter exams and supervised practice. And again, we're in a low trust. We're living in a low trust society right now in terms of professionalism. We cannot trust that the supervised practice that they are getting is being facilitated by lawyers that are objectively good lawyers. We cannot trust it.
Cheer 100. We also have young adults learning
Then
to
it's
drive
just-
looking to their phone rather than listening to
This
their driving
should
instructor.
terrify
Shaking my head.
everybody. This should absolutely terrify everyone, because anybody living in these states with these reduced requirements to be a lawyer, now, if you need to have a lawyer, you don't know if they actually passed their exam. You don't know if they actually facilitated getting their license the proper way, or if they did the short bus method. You won't know. So you could have a lawyer that was not smart enough to pass the bar exam, but because they did the No Child Left Behind route and basically did the community service version or the supervised practice version to obtain their law degree, so you don't know if you're actually getting a decent lawyer. Because it's not like that's going to be something on their law degree. Their law degree is not, no, their license is not going to say this person obtained their license by successfully completing the bar exam, or if this person obtained their license by doing community service. And that's how they obtained their law degree. You're not going to know. So you're not going to know if the lawyer that you're hiring in these 7 states actually knows what the fuck they're doing, or if they're going to just rely on AI for literally everything. This should scare people. It's an active measure to dumb down people. Because don't forget, all of the shit that we hate happening in modern day, the kind of stuff that goes to the Supreme Court for case law, these people that are taking the short bus to licensing are going to be the ones taking cases to the Supreme Court. How many of these people that are taking the short bus route are going to be basically, learned everything they need to know from TikTok? How many of them are going to be presenting, arguing cases and using TikTok logic or trying to use a TikTok defense in court? How many of these people are going to become fucking judges that were raised on the concept of TikTok law? and bullshit defenses like affluenza. Eh? This is why you should be very fucking worried right now. Yeah, maybe I'm looking at it on a viewpoint of a bit of an extreme. I fully appreciate that. I am kind of looking at an extreme because you have to. You have to expect the worst out of this every time. Affluenza, you're not familiar with that. Affluenza is a legitimate legal defense that has worked in the past where it was some rich kid, some filthy rich kid ran over someone, and I forget if they either severely injured or killed the individuals that they hit with their car. I forget which, but it was at very minimum grievous. They committed grievous injury by getting into a car crash with someone. Because of reckless driving. They were driving recklessly. This wasn't like an accident. They were driving incredibly recklessly, got into a wreck, and harmed or killed someone. Went in front of the judge. This kid's lawyer literally presented an argument of, Your Honor, my client is so rich, he had no idea what he was doing was wrong. That's where the affluenza defense came from, is the guy was so rich and so up his own ass because he was so rich and his family's so rich, he didn't even know that what he did was wrong. And here's the scary part. The judge accepted that defense. The judge found this criminal that harmed or killed someone. Again, I can't remember if it was egregiously harming or killing someone. Found this person not guilty by reason of affluenza. It's no longer a valid defense. It may no longer be a valid defense, but the fact that at one point it was is terrifying. And if we start getting lawyers that short bus it to licensing, we are going to see a great deal more of it. We will be seeing a great deal more of affluenza type defenses for people in the coming years, because these are going to be individuals who are not taking, and here's the scary part, is you're going to have judges that will be accepting of these arguments and accepting of these defenses.
Chill 100.
That's the part that should be scaring everyone. That's why I say we are now in a low trust society in terms of whether or not a lawyer that is you are going to be paying to represent you is actually qualified or smart enough to represent you in a court of law. We now are in a low trust society where we don't know if the judge that is going to be deciding our fate or the fate of a criminal who has done you harm learned his legal skills from fucking TikTok. This is why it should be fucking scary to everybody that they're allowing this to happen. People are gonna say, "Oh, it's a good idea. It's a good alternative." No, it's not. No, it's not. The bar is not supposed to be easy. It should not be easy to pass the state bar exam to get licensed by a lawyer. That's the ever-loving point. The point of the bar exam is it's supposed to be a challenge, and that only an individual who knows what the fuck they're doing can pass the bar and be licensed to be an attorney. Not everyone who just does fucking community service with the right lawyer who basically contributed enough to the fucking state board to get classified as an acceptable guide or an acceptable supervisor. It's literally dumbing down the requirements of what was supposed to have been a Clyde bar to achieve. But again, I've got one more thing that I want to compare to, but I want to finish the article first.
She's so cute.
Opponents of alternative pathways have argued that the traditional bar exams are the best and fairest way to ensure sufficient lawyer competence and protect the republic. Absolutely. 100% correct. It is. Absolutely 100% agree with it. A committee formed by the New Mexico Supreme Court to study alternative licensing concluded that the bar exam doesn't accurately test legal skills and that it raises the cost for people who pay for prep courses. So a committee of SJRs. A committee of SJRs who basically are this is code. This right here is code for we had to DEI the fuck out of our licensing, out of our legal licensing. That's what this is. They are this is DEI bridge right here. By saying that the bar doesn't accurately test legal skills and it raises the cost for people who pay for prep courses, that's DEI bridge. That's the same argument as requiring ID to vote is discriminatory against minors. That's this version. This is the same fucking argument as voter ID is discriminatory against minors, or more to the point, voter ID is discriminatory against black people. It's the same fucking argument. Minorities, not minors. Minorities. This is the exact same argument. So this was an SJR committee DEIing up their results. Right fucking here. It was never about whether it was never does the test actually challenge a prospective licensee, and which is what's supposed to in the first place. It's how can we lower the bar, so underqualified people can be DEI'd into the positions of lawyers. That's what this was all about, and they succeeded. This is more of a bridge succeeding to subvert the American legal system. Under the new program, participants will have a year to complete their 675 hours of supervised work. They will submit a portfolio of work to be evaluated by the state's Board of Bar Examiners. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. If they've signed off on this, I do not trust them. That's more DEI bridge shit. The program is expected to begin in 2027, according to court. Now, let's do some quick math here. Hang on. Let me do some quick math. So it's 675 hours. All right. That's okay. So that's about 3.5 months. No, sorry, 2.5 months. That's so under this new program. Under this new program in New Mexico, 2.5 months at 8 hours per day, 2.5 months of supervised work is enough to basically just pass the bar exam. That's it. 2.5 months of quote unquote supervised work. I'm kind of curious. Hang on. I'm curious about something. Give me a second. How do I get 2.5 months? 675 divided by 8. 675 divided by 8 came out to be like 84 point something divided by 30. Yeah, 8 hours. Yeah, I divided 675 by 8 as in 8 hours per day, going on the assumption of 8-hour and 8-hour work day. So the math I did was 675 divided by 8 for 8-hour work day. So that came out to be 84 days. Divide that by 30, averaging it out to 30 days per month. That came out to be roughly 2.5 months. Roughly. Approximation. Yeah. Actually, no. You're right. I did math a little bit wrong. I didn't count for weekends. So 3. Well, I'll average out, say 3 months instead. So 2.5 to 3 months average out. You're right. I did forget about weekends in that calculation. All right, but I want to check something. How many hours of apprenticeship does an electrician need in the U.S. to be licensed? Out of curiosity. I'm just throwing you a standard blue collar job. What does that say? What does that say, chat? Most states require 8,000 hours of supervised on-the-job training for a journeyman electrician license. Roughly 4 years of full-time work. How many hours does a New Mexican lawyer need to get licensed? Quite a big disparagement of difference. You need to work you need to put in more than 8 times the amount of time of apprenticeship to be an electrician than to be a lawyer. You see the disparagement here. You see the problem. It is more difficult. It requires you to put in more time and effort to be a fucking electrician than it does to be a lawyer in the United States. And by the way, this is also not accounting. It's not accounting for the classroom either. Classroom and classroom related, even the classroom. Look, holy fuck. Even if you take the apprenticeship out of the equation, look at the amount of classroom time. Even the classroom time for lawyers is more, or for electricians, is more than for a lawyer. Electrician, an additional 576 to 900 hours is required. 675 for lawyers. Do you see what I'm talking about here? Do you see how fucking insane this is? Don't you also need 4 years normal college as a lawyer? I do believe so. I do believe so. But normal college, okay, and it's even if we were to take the college portion out, okay, let us take the classrooms. Take out the classroom. You've got the college, and then you've got law school. Okay? Got college, you got law school. Which again, in this day and age, low trust society, don't trust the colleges to be teaching them right. Don't trust the colleges to be teaching them right in the first place. But to complete, if you look at this like it's an apprenticeship, okay? Look at this like it's an apprenticeship, okay? So to get licensed as a lawyer in New Mexico, and you're too stupid to pass the bar, because let's be real, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about people too stupid to pass the bar exam. So for a lawyer's apprenticeship, okay, can you try and pass the bar as soon as you graduate? I believe so. I do believe so, yes. To my understanding, yes. So an electrician in the U.S. has an 8 times more robust apprenticeship than a lawyer. And I will argue that a lawyer is more complex. A lawyer's job in terms of complexity, mental complexity, is probably much more mentally complex than an electrician. An electrician, in terms of like intricate complexity, is not throwing shade on electricians. I think like electricians that know their shit are really smart people. But looking at a comparative thing, electricians deal with physics, so they deal with fact essentially. They're dealing with math. They're not needing to basically think creatively. Being an electrician is not about thinking creatively. It's about learning physics. It's about learning math. Things like that, like hard construct concepts that you don't need to like get creative in how you apply them. You know, they are scientific facts that you are applying to the job. As a lawyer, there's a great deal of creativity in delving into arguments, deconstructing the arguments, applying them to your case, things like that. Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, physics, electricians, well, they are not discounting their intelligence. Electricians are very smart. They are dealing with simplified concepts, simplified scientific quotients in physics. Yeah, lawyers are actually having to dissect and disassemble legal arguments and reassemble them in different ways to fit different clients. They have to think more creatively. So there's much more like mental gymnastics that needs to be done as a lawyer, yet their apprenticeship is less than an eighth as long as electricians. Think about that. Now, more to the point that I was going to make. Let's take another job that, terrifyingly enough, I think they're already starting to lower. I would not be surprised if it's trying to lower requirements as well. Think about if they did this for doctors. Think about this if they did this to doctors. Where instead, so you have doctors going through medical school, and then they can't pass their state licensing. They already did this? Fuck. So they already are doing that for doctors. There you go. There you go. This is a systematic dumbing down of the populace. They did this years ago. There you go. They've already done with doctors. They're doing it with lawyers now too. This should be terrifying everybody. Why do you think we're seeing lawyers that can't do shit anymore in the court? Remember the complaint that people were making about Carmelo Anthony's lawyer, how his lawyer was a dumbass and didn't defend him? Couldn't defend Carmelo Anthony at all, and basically got steamrolled by the prosecution because his attorney was a dumb fuck. Yeah, there's more of those coming. A lot more. His lawyer was good. Everything I heard about the arguments the lawyer made were shit. It was an unwinnable case, but every argument he made made his client look even worse. That's the problem. He basically tried to play mind games where he's like, okay, we're gonna dress him in an oversized suit, and what was it? They weren't even granted. A lot of lawyers do this, but like not having Carmelo explain himself, and it's we're going to be seeing more lawyers that are going to be relying upon hallucinating AI to basically write their legal briefs and give them their legal advice on how to approach a case. Okay? We are going to be, especially with this, we're going to be seeing more of this. We're going to be seeing more lawyers like using AI as a crutch and pretty soon as a wheelchair for their job. And we're going to be seeing more lawyers that don't know the law, and these lawyers are going to turn into judges. Okay? As more and more states do this, we're going to be seeing more of these kinds of lawyers that don't have a fucking clue what they're doing. It's the systematic dumbing down of the populace is what's happening. Even more reason to turn the AI off. Oh, I agree. I think as a lawyer, it should be illegal for you to write a legal brief using AI. I think that state should outlaw lawyers using AI to write their legal briefs. It should not be allowed. Because if you as a lawyer are not smart enough to write your own legal brief, you shouldn't be a lawyer. Simple as that. It really is. If you are not capable of doing your job that you get paid for to research and then write up a legal brief to present to a judge yeah, and explain your argument or to bolster your argument of why the judge should approve your argument over the other side's, you shouldn't be a lawyer. Simple as that. It should be illegal. It's and we're going to be seeing more lawyers using the AI. We are. That is coming. Now that they have created a short bus method to rubber stamp people through licensing, we're going to see more of that now. And you're not going to know if your lawyer is one of these dumbasses that can't write their own legal briefs and relies upon AI to do everything until it's too late.